Hollywood may look glamorous from the outside, but behind the red carpets and flashing cameras, some stars have been banned, boycotted, or quietly pushed out. From shocking scandals to outspoken opinions, these are the actors Hollywood won't cast anymore. And the reasons why might surprise you. Will Smith was one of Hollywood's most beloved stars, known for Men in Black and his Oscar-winning role in King Richard. But in 2022, everything changed when he slapped comedian Chris Rock live on stage at the Oscars. The incident shocked the world, and the Academy banned him from attending the ceremony for 10 years. While not completely blacklisted, Smith's once spotless reputation took a major hit, and several of his projects were delayed or cancelled. Kevin Spacey was one of Hollywood's most acclaimed actors, winning multiple Oscars and starring in hits like American Beauty and House of Cards. But after numerous sexual misconduct allegations surfaced in 2017, Spacey was swiftly fired from his own show, dropped by studios, and effectively blacklisted in Hollywood. Once a beloved figure, he now struggles to find major roles, showing how quickly fame can vanish. Tobey Maguire became a household name as Spider-Man in the early 2000s, but after a series of career choices and a desire for privacy, he stepped back from Hollywood spotlight. While not officially banned, Maguire experienced a quiet blacklisting of high-profile roles, focusing instead on producing and smaller indie projects, making him a less visible figure in mainstream Hollywood. Shia LaBeouf rose to fame as a Disney star and became a Hollywood leading man with roles in Transformers and Fury. But a series of public incidents, including arrests, erratic behavior, and multiple abuse allegations caused studios to distance themselves from him. Once a bankable star, LaBeouf's career was effectively blacklisted, and he now focuses on independent projects and art far from the Hollywood spotlight. Jim Carrey was one of the most beloved comedy stars of the 90s and 2000s, known for hits like The Mask and Dumb and Dumber. But after speaking openly about politics, spirituality, and industry issues, Carrey claims he faced resistance in Hollywood. While not formally banned, his outspoken nature reportedly led to fewer major roles, effectively sidelining him from the mainstream film spotlight for several years. Amber Heard was once a rising star in Hollywood, appearing in films like Aquaman and The Rum Diary. But after her highly publicized legal battles with Johnny Depp, public opinion turned sharply against her. Online petitions and backlash pressured studios, and she was quietly pushed out of major projects. While not officially banned, Heard became one of Hollywood's most controversial figures, with her future in the industry still uncertain. Richard Gere was a leading man in Hollywood, starring in classics like Pretty Woman and An Officer and a Gentleman. But his outspoken criticism of China's human rights abuses, especially his support for Tibet and the Dalai Lama, reportedly led to him being quietly blacklisted by Hollywood studios that didn't want to risk losing access to the Chinese market. Once a top box office draw, Gere found himself pushed out of major roles and shifted toward independent films. Mel Gibson was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, known for Braveheart and Lethal Weapon, but a series of public scandals, including racist and anti-Semitic remarks, caused studios and colleagues to distance themselves from him. For years, Gibson was effectively blacklisted in Hollywood, with fewer acting and directing opportunities, though he has since made a partial comeback with films like Hacksaw Ridge. Taylor Lautner rose to fame as the werewolf Jacob in the Twilight Saga, becoming a teen heartthrob overnight. But after Twilight, he struggled to find roles that matched his fame, and studios seemed hesitant to cast him in leading parts. While not officially banned, Lautner experienced a quiet blacklisting in Hollywood, and his career has mostly shifted to smaller films and TV projects. James Woods built a long career in Hollywood with standout roles in films like Casino and Salvador. But in recent years, he's claimed that his outspoken political views led to him being blacklisted by Hollywood. Once a regular presence on the big screen, Woods says studios stopped calling and he has largely disappeared from mainstream film and television, making him one of the most vocal actors about being pushed out of the industry. Megan Fox skyrocketed to fame with Transformers and quickly became one of Hollywood's hottest stars. But after publicly criticizing director Michael Bay and comparing her experience on set to working for a dictator, she was dropped from the Transformers franchise and labeled as difficult to work with. This led to a quiet blacklisting in Hollywood, where major roles dried up. In recent years, however, Fox has been slowly making a comeback with new projects. Cameron Diaz was one of the most bankable actresses of the late 90s and 2000s, starring in hits like Charlie's Angels and There's Something About Mary. But after years at the top, she quietly stepped away from Hollywood, saying she felt overworked and wanted to focus on her personal life. While not officially blacklisted, her sudden absence made fans believe she'd been pushed out of the industry. Brendan Fraser was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, known for The Mummy and George of the Jungle. But after speaking out about being sexually assaulted by a powerful executive and facing personal struggles, his career slowed dramatically. While not officially banned, Fraser was largely sidelined for years until his comeback with the Oscar-winning role in The Whale reminded everyone of his talent. Tippi Hedren became a star in Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds and Marne, but behind the scenes, she accused Hitchcock of harassment and controlling behavior. After rejecting his advances, Hedren said Hitchcock threatened her career, and he kept his word. Despite her talent, she was quietly blacklisted from major roles in Hollywood, forcing her to take smaller projects. Her story later became one of the earliest examples of how powerful figures in Hollywood could end a career. Isaiah Washington became a household name on Grey's Anatomy, but his career took a sharp turn after he was accused of using a homophobic slur against a Despite issuing public apologies, the controversy cost him his role on the hit show, and his reputation in Hollywood never recovered. Once a rising television star, Washington says he was effectively blacklisted, making only occasional appearances in smaller projects since. Charlie Sheen became a television legend with 2.5 Men, but his erratic behavior, public meltdowns, and drug-related controversies led to him being fired from the show. Once one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors, Sheen was effectively blacklisted from major roles, and his career shifted to smaller projects and personal appearances. Katherine Heigl was one of Hollywood's biggest romantic comedy stars, known for hits like 27 Dresses and Knocked Up. But after publicly criticizing her own projects and calling out unfair treatment, she gained a reputation for being difficult to work with. That reputation spread quickly, and soon she was quietly blacklisted from major film and TV roles, causing her career to slow dramatically. Caviezel rose to fame for his powerful role as Jesus in The Passion of the Christ. But after the film's release, Caviezel said he was quietly blacklisted by Hollywood. Studios feared controversy over the movie's religious themes and its director, Mel Gibson. Once seen as a rising star, Caviezel struggled to land major roles in Hollywood afterward, shifting mostly to independent and faith-based projects. Rose McGowan was a rising star in Hollywood, known for roles in Scream and Charm. But after speaking out against Harvey Weinstein and exposing systemic abuse in Hollywood, she claimed she was blacklisted by studios and powerful industry figures. Once a mainstream actress, McGowan became a leading voice in the Me Too movement, sacrificing her career to fight for justice. Cuba Gooding Jr. was an Oscar-winning actor, celebrated for his role in Jerry Maguire and a promising Hollywood career. But in recent years, multiple sexual assault allegations tarnished his reputation, causing studios and producers to distance themselves from him. Once a beloved star, Gooding Jr. has been largely blacklisted, and his career in mainstream Hollywood has come to a near halt. Rob Schneider became widely known for his comedic roles in Deuce Bigalow and frequent appearances in Adam Sandler movies. However, after making controversial political statements and jokes that didn't sit well with Hollywood insiders, Schneider's opportunities for major roles began to dry up. While not officially banned, he was largely sidelined, mostly appearing in smaller projects and television work. Monique won an Oscar for her unforgettable performance in Precious, but soon after her career came to a halt. She claims powerful Hollywood figures, including Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, blacklisted her for speaking out about unfair pay and refusing to stay silent about industry inequality. Russell Brand became a household name through his stand-up comedy in films like Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Get Him to the Greek. But after repeated controversial statements, personal scandals, and confrontations with media outlets, Hollywood studios began distancing themselves from him. Although he wasn't formally banned, Brand was largely marginalized, focusing more on independent projects and his podcast career. Armie Hammer was a Hollywood heartthrob, starring in films like Call Me by Your Name and The Social Network. But in 2021, he faced allegations of sexual misconduct and disturbing online messages, which led studios to cut ties with him. Once a rising star, Hammer was quickly blacklisted in Hollywood, and his career has remained on hold ever since. Stacey gained fame for her iconic role in Clueless and was considered a rising star in Hollywood. But after making outspoken political statements that angered much of the entertainment industry, she found herself increasingly sidelined. While not formally banned, Dash was largely pushed out of mainstream projects with fewer acting offers and a significant decline in visibility. Christopher Mintz shot to fame as McLovin in Superbad, becoming an instant teen icon. However, typecasting and limited roles kept him from breaking into bigger Hollywood projects. While not officially banned, he experienced a quiet blacklisting of opportunities, struggling to transition from teen comedy roles to major leading parts, though he continues to act in supporting and voice roles. Sean William Scott became famous as the wild and unforgettable Stifler in the American Pie series, but after typecasting and personal controversies, including disputes with studios over roles, his career in mainstream Hollywood slowed significantly. Once a breakout star, Scott struggled to land leading roles, making him a less visible figure in Hollywood, though he continues to work in smaller projects in voice acting. Hollywood can make stars overnight, and just as quickly it can turn its back. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more Hollywood stories.